The house. Everything's fine. The euphoria of seeing my aunt's house still standing turned to sheer panic because the house next door, just feet from my aunt's, was on fire. The hero firefighters on scene from LA and San Francisco were battling the flames with everything they had. Still, I figured I only had a few minutes to grab some photos and valuables, and then another stroke of luck. Two of my coworkers, Rena and Assad, happened to be driving by in the news van and saw me. They jumped into action, helping me grab whatever valuables we could.
I just ran into my colleague Rena.
LAPD officers even swooped in like superheroes to assist.
Get a bag here.
Thank you so much.
We loaded up my car. Firefighters stayed. They were relentless. They would get the upper hand. My aunt's house was safe, at least for now. Our family is so lucky, but it's hard to feel joy when you look around and realize how many other people lost everything. In that same hour, my parents asked me if I could check another home, the house of their lifelong friends who also live in the Palisades. Their house was gone, and I had to tell them. So much lost, so much heartbreak, but I know the story isn't over. People are resilient. We can rebuild.
Close up a lot of niggas pleading, bullets will put it thicker than defense. Chopper cut up the weaklings, fuck it 10 for 10, but you get even. Enemies give me reason, they beat the last motherfucking breathing. I ain't got none, no, they probably all under the cement. No, shit fucked up my people.
Get loud, shake it from your waist down.
Shake it, shake it. Oh, she got her. Let's go. Show her what you got.
The Pacific Palisades, one of the wealthiest communities in the U.S., is experiencing the worst fire in its history. Situated at the foothills of the Santa Monica Mountains, the Palisades typically escape damage as Santa Ana winds blow past, since the winds will usually blow any fire up to the north. However, this time, hurricane-force winds drove the flames directly into the neighborhood, reducing many homes to ashes. On January 7th, around 10:20 a.m. local time, a live camera with Alert California, a UC San Diego program to monitor wildfires and disasters in real time, picks up smoke rising. This is the first sighting of the Palisades fire. 6 minutes later, Plane Spotter at LAX catches first plumes of smoke on its live stream.
Not what we want to see here in Southern California. A fire has now broke out.
At 10:58 a.m., resident David Hansen received a video from his mother showing thick orange smoke billowing outside her house on Piedra Morada Drive. The fire size was upgraded from 10 to 200 acres, while containment remained at 0%.
We're in the Palisades Highlands and the fire road is literally on fire.
David Hansen drove to reach his mother and recorded the Palisades fire as it burned an entire hillside beside the road. From his mother's backyard, David filmed helicopters dropping water onto the nearby fires. He tells ABC News he saw them hovering over the edge of Santa Ynez Reservoir and were using a hose to draw up water. The fire spread rapidly, and flames encroached on David's mother's yard. Neighbors rallied together, using water from swimming pools to fight the advancing fire. With 2 more zones ordered to evacuate and 3 new evacuation warnings issued, David decided to drive out. But with high volumes of vehicles trying to evacuate, and with 3 road closures on the Pacific Coast Highway, escaping the flames proved to be difficult for residents. As David drives, he films the road filled with abandoned cars on Palisades Drive. Firefighters are seen battling the flames. David and his mother make it out safe from the flames, and he tells ABC News that thanks to the effort of quick-thinking neighbors, David's mother's home has for now survived.
We're through the fire.
Evacuation shelters are placed around the city, and Governor Newsom declares a state of emergency in California. By night, reports show that the Palisades fire has grown to 1,262 acres, and 2 additional fires occur nearby, Eaton Fire and Hearst Fire. Windy conditions complicated firefighting efforts.
We're getting a 70 knots wind speed. We're going to have to shut down water dropping operations. Also, cancel that 2 additional copters.
January 8th, 12:29 a.m. Palisades fire size has grown to 2,921 acres and is upgraded to 11,802 by 11:45 a.m.
Unfortunately, we have 2 reported fatalities to civilians. Unknown cause at this time, and we do have a number of significant injuries.
Lydia Fire, north of the 3 active fires, starts around 2:07 p.m. At 5:57 p.m., Cal Fire reported that the Sunset Fire in the famed Hollywood Hills had started, bringing the total to 5 active fires in the state. The Palisades Fire remained the largest, reaching 17,234 acres by the end of the day, with 0% containment. Weather forecasts indicated another round of Santa Ana winds expected from January 9th to January 10th, with a new high-pressure system building from the north, fueling more gusty winds. The Sunset Fire, which crossed more than 40 acres, was fully contained, but at 3:12 p.m., Kenneth Fire started to burn 50 acres in West Hills. On January 10th, the Palisades Fire has grown to nearly 20,000 acres with 6% containment, and the Eaton Fire to nearly 14,000 acres with 0% containment. Governor Newsom calls for an independent investigation into the, quote, loss of water pressure to local fire hydrants and the reported unavailability of water supplies from the Santa Ynez Reservoir, following a Los Angeles Times report that the Pacific Palisades Reservoir had been closed for repairs at the time the destructive fire started. Firefighters across the country, as well as Canada and Mexico, arrived to help battle the flames. Local authorities vowed to find out what exactly caused what is on track to become the worst natural disaster in U.S. history based on costs.
This task force is made up of local, state, and federal partners designed to investigate the cause of these fires and to see if there's any connection between them.
As of Wednesday, January 15th, at least 25 people have died, and more than a dozen others remain unaccounted for. 4 fires are still active, with Palisades Fire covering more than 23,000 acres and 19% contained.
You know, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, oh, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, you know? I don't know.
If you think what's happening in California is bad, be prepared for major disasters in these cities. What I am about to share today will shock you, anger you, and maybe even scare you. But it is imperative you understand the extent of this coming disaster and how it will plunge all Americans, including your friends and family, into a conflict the likes our great nation has never seen. An attack orchestrated by a shadowy cabal of former and current politicians, militant leftists, big banks.
.430, homeowners who have lost everything in the wildfires are defying evacuation orders to protect their properties from looters. A Officials say dozens of residents have chosen to ignore official orders to evacuate and are taking the necessary actions to protect their property into their own hands.
KTLA's Mary Beth McDade joins us live in Altadena with more. MB.
Hello there, you guys. Yes, we spoke to one homeowner who says they are staying behind to protect their homes from any looters, but also from any flare-ups. She said a bunch of the dads have actually been going around the neighborhood the past few days. Sorry, it's so dry out here. The past few days, and they are stomping out some flames that flare up. And we also talked to her about all the different disaster preps that she did that are really paying off for her and her neighbors.
And we do live in California after all, and there could be earthquakes, there could be mudslides, and I didn't think it could happen like this, but there were fires.
When Eve Anna Manley moved to California, her Altadena neighbor taught her to be prepared for disasters.
And he had like 55-gallon drums of water, he had a reloading center, he put in the whole house generator, and I followed after. I learned from him. I went to CERT classes with him.
She also redid her wood shake shingle home with concrete shingles, and she has Starlink to help keep her connected to the internet. Because Manley's home survived the Eaton fire, and because of all her preparations, she chose not to evacuate and is now helping neighbors who also chose not to go.
I can do laundry for other people. That's another thing I'm doing, and cook bacon and eggs for people, and let them have a hot shower, because none of these people around here have hot water or laundry running.
They want to stay and protect their homes from any flare-ups and from any looters. Manley says her and her dogs are prepared if anyone tries to come into her house.
I do have firearms, and I've been, calling my friends to make sure I know how to legally exist with them.
She says her and her neighbors, who've dubbed themselves the stayers, know if they pass through the roadblocks, they won't be allowed back. And let me tell you, there are many checkpoints. Manley and her fellow stayers had been getting supplies dropped off.
Someone could meet us at the National Guard point at the end of the street and hand us whatever we had asked for, right?
Like food, supplies?
Yeah, bananas, for instance, and pizzas, and just bottled water, generators, gasoline.
However, those dropped-offs have been stopped.
So it's a hard no blockade, and I'm glad for that. I want the hard no, because I don't want anyone else up here, because there's been reports of looting, and that's frightening. We don't want that up here.
Yeah, and we should mention that when my photographer Bent and I, we were traveling up through this Altadena neighborhood to her home, we did go through at least, 4 or 5 checkpoints, and each time, the National Guard, the LA County Sheriff, and the CHP, they did ask us for our media credentials. So there's a lot of people up here protecting this Altadena neighborhood. For now, reporting live here in Altadena, Mary Beth McDade. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Mary Beth, thank you. And a quick reminder here that fire authorities have compiled maps showing the thousands of structures, including homes, that were destroyed or damaged in the Palisades and Eaton fires. To check on the status of your home or someone else's, just scan the QR code there on your screen. It then will take you to a link on our website that contains maps of both fire zones.
This is the reason why I've canceled my internet.
Slides and mudslides, and whenever the rain does show up, it's inevitable. That's going to be a big threat for those burn areas. All right, now our forecast, we've got, again, a little cloud cover coming back, especially in the mornings. Might be some marine layer or some fog for Friday morning and Saturday morning. Temperatures cooler Friday through Sunday as well, but there is no rain in the forecast. And as we take a look at the mountains and the deserts, you're going to see those cold temperatures in the mountains in the 40s, 60s for the high deserts, and around 70 degrees or so in the low deserts. Guys?
Adam, thanks. Much more news ahead in the 6:30 half hour.
Still to come, L.A. Fire Chief Christian Crowley today pushing back against accusations that firefighters weren't ready for last week's firestorm.
And
all right, you're just listening in there to our Fox 11 team talking about funding, talking about disaster relief in some of the most hardest hit locations in Southern California. Let's mimic them a little bit and take a 2-minute break ourselves here on Live Now.
Like chimneys left.
Wow.
Yeah, and especially with, you know, when houses are starting to get fully engulfed in buildings too. A lot of the water just gets evaporated before it even does much.
Right. Do you know like what street this is on?
Gosh, if you pull up the maps, I think I can figure it out. So we are Lake Altadena. I think it's Palm Street. We're at Palm Street, so right there to the left. But do you see Pine? Yeah, right there. So really, those first couple of homes there on the right. Yeah, right there. Yep. We can go a little street view action there. Whew. Yep.
Yeah, so what's the geographer here see? We see these palm trees that have like tons of kind of dry fronds. This is the gate that they were just trying to open, right?
Yep.
You got this eucalyptus tree that blew down.
Yep.
Super flammable.
Super flammable.
Same expert year after year with TurboTax Live Full Service. Hand off your taxes today.
Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet.
One more, everybody.
We're talking about a fire on New Year's Day that it wasn't a huge fire, but it was bigger than a campfire. It was, you know, an acre, a little bit larger than an acre. And so that's a lot of area. And with 100-mile-an-hour winds, 80-mile-an-hour winds like you saw on that day, all it takes is one small spark in a dry landscape with very low humidity. We've had very little to no rain in the past year in this area. And so it doesn't take much. So it could be just one surviving ember.
Now's the time to go back in time and shine a light.
Devastation comes to California.
All right, Jake. Yeah, let's get out of here.
Residents flee for their lives.
And I turned on Big Rock, and then the flames came at me everywhere, like a blast of flames and smoke.
She got stuck while trying to escape the Palisades fire, but she's able to share her story tonight thanks to the bravery of a firefighter. KCAL's Michelle Gili has the dramatic rescue and a very special surprise. Michelle?
Well, Pat, just within the last hour, we found this firefighter that this Malibu resident has been looking for ever since he rescued her. Let's take a look at her story.
I thought I was going to die. I was praying to God to let me die from smoke inhalation, and please don't let me be burned alive.
To try and save her life, Malibu's Patty Phillips raced down the hill last week in Big Rock, blinded by thick smoke and surrounded by fire. Her dog Coda was in the car by her side, but she only got so far.
And I turned on Big Rock, and then the flames came at me everywhere, like a blast of flames and smoke. And I was blinded, and it's total vertigo. You can't see your road. You can't see in front of you. So as I drove up, all of a sudden I'm hitting these rocks, and I stopped my car. And I realized I'm not on